You know what's funny? I'm editing this on a PC. Don't tell anyone. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we are going to be talking about the film Steve Jobs. This is another Steve Jobs biopic, which is depicting the life of Steve Jobs, the guy who made Apple what Apple is today. This giant company, which is one of the most well-known brand names in the world. But this film doesn't necessarily just focus on his career. It doesn't show him from his origins to eventually creating Apple to his time away from Apple and then eventually return. It decides to focus more on the family element, and we see this in three different stages. The film basically shows us the launch of the original Macintosh, the launch of the Next, which is this black cube which did nothing, and then the first iMac, which was a giant success and made Apple what it was. And then in between those events we see kind of a transition with news articles and news television and just different things which kind of show as time has progressed, and we see time in 1984, 1988, and then eventually 1998, and just the whole time span and things that go on between that. And the film focuses more entirely on the family element. So we see Steve Jobs reacting and dealing with his child, his daughter, and the mother of his daughter. It's kind of cool how the film is able to kind of make the audience, or at least me, kind of root for the mother in the first scene, and then the second scene where we see her as just things start to come out as to what she's using his money for. I started to side with more Steve Jobs. He's an asshole, and Michael Fassbender delivers a fantastic performance in this film as Steve Jobs. I don't know a lot about the background of him. I don't know how realistically this is portrayed or whatnot, but he did a very nice job, I thought, in this role. But you see Steve Jobs even start to kind of gradually become more of a father throughout the movie, and the mother kind of become less of a mother, and it's kind of interesting to see that change between the years. Kate Winslet is also kind of one of the main people in this film. She's his assistant, and she basically does everything with him and for him. And she did a very nice job in this role as well. You get to kind of see her change and start to deal with him in different ways just as the film progresses. Seth Rogen, Jeff Daniels, they're both in this film as well. They just kind of have their parts here and there, just as their separate characters, and their interactions with Steve Jobs. So it's kind of their main role is to kind of provide some background material, but also to provide present-day conflict as well. The music in this film is actually used really, really nicely, because there are certain scenes which happen where it'll just be dead silence, and it'll just be kind of like Birdman in a sense, where it looks like a scene is just one take and just a long scene, and then just music will suddenly begin to start going, and it'll just kind of escalate a scene more so than it would have already been. There's even a reference to Stravinsky's Rites of Spring throughout the film, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was actually some of that being played at some point in the film. I don't know the ballet well enough to recognize where it was, but I'm more than certain that it was in there somewhere. The film is also shot beautifully. This is something that I don't usually comment on because I don't really have a good eye for it, but there's a lot of scenes where it looks like it is all being kind of shot in one take, and it looks really, really good despite the fact that there are cuts and it's probably not all in one take, because that's very difficult to do, but there are some really impressive scenes there. And then there are some dialogue scenes in between Steve Jobs and the other characters where it'll flash back to scenes that happened in the past between Steve Jobs and this character, and it just kind of bounces back and forth, and the scenes kind of reflect each other. If you've seen season 2 of Arrow, the final fight against the main villain that season, it kind of reflects that, and it kind of reminded me of that imagery a little bit, and so that's extremely well used, and I really did enjoy that. Some very small issues that I had with this film. I generally very much enjoyed it. I thought the ending was just a tad bit cheesy. I won't spoil it, but I did think it had just a realm of cheesiness to it in the last 5 minutes or so. As this is a biopic, I would have liked to see just like an afterword, like, oh, what happened to Steve Jobs? Obviously, we kind of know generally what happened to him. What happened with the mother? What happened with Kate Winslet's character, Seth Rogen's character, Jeff Daniels' character, with his daughter? I would have liked to kind of see, like, oh, this is where these people are now, type of thing. that's just something I always like to see with biopics, so it disappointed me that it wasn't in this film. But generally, this is a fantastically made film. It might not be for everyone who wants to see the legacy of Steve Jobs, just as this creator, this conductor of his orchestra, which was Apple. It does focus more on the family element, which is a side which I don't think is reflected or shown as much in other films which have been made about his life. I haven't seen a ton of Steve Jobs movies / biopics, so I don't know. But this did seem like uncharted territory for the most part, so I did enjoy it, and I thought it worked really well. So, those are my thoughts on Steve Jobs. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like the film as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Once again, if you're such a use, I appreciate it immensely. And as always, American people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.